Okay, so now we need to make up the resin. So we've got the hardener and the resin, so you need to make sure you don't get these mixed up. So the caps, make sure they stay the same. Now what I like to do when I'm using this stuff is to just anchor my mixing pad down to the workbench. So just hold that in position there. Now what you need is equal parts. So you've got a 15-minute resin here. Okay. Now you need to make sure you've got enough to cover that lot there. Okay, so it's just equal measures. So we've got one paddle stick for that mix, and then we've got another paddle spatula for this part of the mixture there. Okay, so as long as they look about the same in terms of their bulk. So we've got a little bit more on that one. So again, don't get these paddle sticks mixed up, because you'll find that your epoxy will cure in the pot otherwise. Just coming to the end of that. Okay, you just need to probably put a little bit more down there. So it's equal parts. Okay, so there's 2 bits, and I think I've got 2 equal piles there. Now what I like to do, this bit, is to set my stopwatch so that I know exactly how long I've got, because it's about 15 minutes. Okay, so what you do is you just start mixing that, and that's why I've anchored this to my workbench. Okay, so that it doesn't start moving whilst I'm doing this process. Okay, and that's all you do. It's only about a minute and a half just to mix that thoroughly. And you'll also notice, because it creates an exothermic reaction, which it produces heat, it does start to get just a little bit thinner. Okay, which is great when you're coming to apply it. Okay, so get a good old mix. Okay, just for about a minute, so that's about a minute gone. Just use any old piece of cardboard or flat surface, and it can get quite messy, this stuff as well. Okay, so we've done that. Okay, so just a little tip, we need to make sure that when we put that on, is going to cover that part there. Okay, now all you do is you want to make sure that you fill in the gaps between your masking tape. Okay, so put it on quite liberally. Okay, don't be shy, and that's why I've used my rod turning stands just to help me twist the rod around. Okay, you want plenty on there. Takes a bit of time. Okay, once we've got that, make sure you go across the top of the masking tape. Okay, and then in between again. So I'm going to go in between there. Okay, and it doesn't matter if you bulk it out a little bit, because when you put that reel seat on, it's all going to squeeze out anyway. Okay, straight over the top. Now already I can feel this just starting to harden, so need to get a bit of a wiggle on. There we go. Into that area as well. Just say bulk it out. Messy stuff. You don't want to get this on your hands if you can help it. And say it does thin out a little bit. Okay, we're almost coming to the end. Okay. Surprisingly, I've just about got enough. And you don't get a second chance at this, because once that reel seat's gone on, that'll be it. Okay, so we just about got enough there. Spread that out a bit, so hopefully you can see that. And then our yellow mark for the end of the reel seat is just down here, so you just want to make sure that bit's covered. Okay, just on the end. I'm going to come back to that bit in a minute and I'll show you how to finish that off. Doesn't matter at this stage if you get any on the butt section, just pass the reel seat because that can easily be wiped off. Okay, so there we are, we've got a nice even coat all the way round and all the gaps have been covered. Okay, so just do a final check just to make sure that that is all in there covering that, so nice sort of smooth coat. Okay, there we go. Then the reel seat, so slide the reel seat up and then we know there's my yellow mark, so that's in line with the butt ring, and then this is going to slide on. So as it slides on, just give it a bit of a twisting motion, so it will slide nicely because there's a bit of friction there now. Give it a twist. Okay, just slide it on. You can see all the excess just dripping off the bottom there, so that's absolutely fine. And then we're going to go right up to our shrink tube and then just past that. So we've already made a mark with our masking tape, so that's the stop point. Okay, so just make sure that your reel seat brackets are in line, okay, with your mark, and maybe just check with your butt guide that that's in position. Okay, so what we need to make sure we do now is just clean up this. So the cardboard is just taking off the excess, so just make sure that you take this off. Okay, so just wipe that off. You can see the point of putting the masking tape on the reel seat now. Okay, so it just protects that. Just go a little bit further, there we go. Make sure that's covering that piece of shrink tube, which it is. Okay, wipe off the excess. Show that. And you should get a nice seal in there. Don't want any seawater going in between your shrink tube and your reel seat. Okay, so just check that. Just there nicely, so just go up a little bit further. There we go. Just make sure that that's in the right place. I'm just going to check. Yeah, that's just about perfect. Okay, so that's how you get your reel seat on. Now just on this bit down the end here, that's why we need a number of these spatulas. There's a slight gap down this end. Okay, so what you need to do, just use a little bit of that excess, okay, and just fill that gap in. It doesn't matter if you get it on the butt section because that could be wiped off. So you're just creating a bit of a seal just down the bottom end. Okay, time wise that's taken me 7 minutes to get that on, so I know I've got a bit of time before my epoxy goes off. Okay, so there's plenty of time just to fill that bit in. Okay, you don't want any gaps and holes. Again, if seawater gets in there, it starts to, I wouldn't say rust the plastic, but it starts to make the epoxy a bit weaker. Okay, so that's all you do. That's why you need these spatulas, plenty of, and then just wipe off the excess so you've got a nice seal just going around the bottom there. And whatever you get on the butt section anyway will be hidden by the shrink tube. Okay, so just check that you've got a nice, yep, we have, so that's fine. And there you go, that's how you put a reel seat onto your butt section using the epoxy resin. I'm just going to give it one last check just to make sure that my reel seat is fully lined up with the butt guide. Okay, it's just slightly off, so just give it a tweak. Okay. And that's just about perfect now. Okay, so we're just going to put that back in there. Again, I like to have it up nice and high so I can actually see what we've got there. Now we just need to do some work here because you need to obviously peel this stuff off, because if you've got any on the plastic bits, the thread, then of course we need to be wiping that off. Okay, so I think we've managed to do quite well there because we haven't got any on the thread itself. Okay, so we need to take this off the shrink tube, and just to make sure, so try and keep this as far away from the shrink tube as you can, because it's got epoxy resin on it. Okay, so we just need to be careful. Okay, generally quite happy with that. Okay, and then we can see got a nice seal just around that bit, so that should stop any seawater getting in there. The thread is reasonably clean, so that's good, and then we can just leave that to set. Now one final bit, because if you don't take the masking tape off, then it'll end up sticking if you've got any epoxy resin on it. Okay, final bit there. So there's my reel seat attached to the butt section. So it's a 30mm, and there's a little bit of epoxy just on the blank there. Not too fussed about that, because my piece of shrink tube, once I come to do that, is going to go up into that area there and just finish that off. Okay, there we go. One reel seat, 30mm diameter, applied to one butt section of the rod. Okay, we've just got a little bit of clearing up to do here. So what I like to do, I don't like wastage in the workshop, so I do clean up everything. So there's your paddle sticks. So all you need to do then is just use a little bit of isopropanol alcohol just on a rag, and then you clean these up and they're ready for use for next time. Put them to one side once you've cleaned them. Okay, a little bit of epoxy just to sort that out.